Hello, everybody. We are back with another visual pattern challenge. So here is our visual pattern, bunches of snowflakes arranged here. And your challenge is to look at this pattern. Here's step 1, step 2, step 3. And then from what you see, to be able to predict the number of the snowflakes in step 4. If you can get that far, can you then predict the number in step 43? It's a little bit tougher. And can you write an equation that could be used to predict the number of snowflakes in any step at all? If you'd like to accept that challenge, pause the video and give it a try. All right, so let's see if we can figure out what's going on. Just looking at this pattern, I see two snowflakes arranged diagonally here in the first step, and then suddenly I see two squares of snowflakes also arranged diagonally. And then I see two more squares, but bigger. So these are 2 by 2 squares. These are 3 by 3 squares. I think I see already what's going on, and I might already be jumping to an equation because I could think of these also as squares, just 1 by 1 squares. And these are 2 by 2 squares, and then 3 by 3 squares. And you'll notice the by number, the length of the square on a side, is the same as the step number. When we make equations for these, we usually put an x for the step number. So I think each one of these boxes represents an x squared, and there's two of them. So right away, I'm thinking an equation might be 2x squared. But let's pause there for a second on that one. We'll come back to that equation. That's just my hunch. I saw that right away, so I want to jot it down. How about predicting what's in step 4? I think that should be pretty straightforward now that we've noticed this pattern. If there's two 1 by 1 squares and then two 2 by 2 squares and two 3 by 3 squares, there should be two 4 by 4 squares here, right? So a 4 by 4 would be 16 and another 4 by 4 would be 16. So 16 plus 16 would be 32. So that's how many I'm predicting for step number 4, 32. Step 43, I think we definitely want to use an equation. And before we decide 2x squared is right, and maybe that looks obvious to you already, but before we decide is right, I want to look at the numbers just to verify that my hunch is correct. So I'm going to list the step number and then the number of snowflakes in each step. So in step 1, we just have 2 flakes. In step 2, we have these two 2 by 2 squares. So there's 4 and 4, so that's 8. In step 3, we have 9 and 9, which is 18. And in step 4, we've said we have 32. Now, the next step we usually do in analyzing a pattern like this is to take the difference between each step. So 8 minus 2 is 6. 18 minus 8 is 10. And 32 minus 18 is 14. Well, that's interesting. So it's a different number each step. That means this is not a linear pattern. So maybe our initial hunch is right. Let's take the difference of the differences, because if this comes out to be a constant, then we know we've got a quadratic. So 10 minus 6 is 4, and 14 minus 10 is also 4. So when this second step of differences, the difference of the differences, is a constant, you've got a quadratic. So we've got x squared. And now, I don't think there's anything else we need to do except test our initial hunch and make sure it's working with these steps. So if I put in 2 times, and x is the step number, so I'll put in 1 here in step 1, 2 times 1 squared, well, 1 squared is 1, times 2 is 2, and that's how many snowflakes we get. If I put it in step 2, 2 times 2 squared, well, 2 squared is 4, times 2 is 8, that's what we've got. How about in step 3? 2 times 3 squared, well, 3 squared is 9, times 2 is 18. Yeah, this is working out. So I think we can be pretty confident that our equation is y equals 2 times x squared. So our initial hunch was correct, and we can use that now to figure out how many in step 43. So what I would do is plug in 43 for x here. So y equals 2 times 43 squared. Well, 43 squared, 43 times 43 is 1,849. And then we just need to multiply that by 2. And I think we get 3,698. That is a lot of snowflakes in step 43. Well, how did that go for you? Did you see that pattern? Did you come up with that equation? Let me know. Thanks, everybody.